I have my favorite pediatrician, Dr. Neela Sethi. So I want to know, are you judging us? I have my favorite pediatrician, Dr. Neela Sethi, who is my children's pediatrician and one of my best friends, who was really encouraging. Well, you've always been really encouraging.
Thank you.
But as anybody who knows who I am at this point, because we've talked about this so much, knows my son went through a lot of mental health struggles. You were always my first call. Like, I need to find a therapist. I literally think the first therapist we found, the first doctor, the testing you did for ADHD and it was always, Neela, find me someone, please. So I highly recommend, here's a life tip for everybody.
Right.
Have a really good friend who is an actual doctor. Okay?
Yes.
That's your life tip for the day. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yes.
So let's first really quickly touch on how we met, because I love that, and especially because this episode is about, I'm going to have her on a bunch of times if you want to be on to answer all of your medical questions, even though I hope that you all have a pediatrician who you trust with your child's health. But I think sometimes people just feel like rushed in appointments or uncomfortable, and it's nice to have someone else to ask.
Or they don't have a relationship.
Yeah, they don't have that kind of relationship where they can ask. But today we're not actually going to answer those types of questions, really. We want to focus more on encouraging parents.
Yes.
So we first met because I moved to the town we live in, and I had a newborn.
Yep.
And I believe my other kids were like 9 and 11 or something. And I asked my neighbors who is the best pediatrician in town, and literally everybody said, it wasn't even a competition.
No, thank you.
So somehow I got an appointment with you because you're hard to get, because you are pretty freaking popular.
You just have to stalk.
Yes. And then I remember showing up with Ari, and then I think you brought it up. You were like, are you the mom that makes videos? How did that? I don't even remember. Do you remember it?
We had a visit where I didn't know, and I just thought it was this weird universal thing because our kids had the same name, and it's not common.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just funny. And I'd never met another Ari, and we went through a whole big cycle to get there. And then I think it was the visit after, because I'm a lactation consultant.
Yeah.
And breastfeeding advocacy is one of my life missions. And I just so happened to, the week before, seen your video, but it was a different last name. And I was like, oh, but I know.
Oh, yeah, because my youngest has my husband's last name.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, it can't be. And then you were there for a different reason, and you were just sitting in the hallway. And I walk down the hall and see you there, and I'm like, wait, because I had just seen the video, and then you just appeared like this gorgeous goddess that you are. And I was like, are you did you just, and so anyway, it was just
one of the first videos I made, for those who don't know, was a sarcastic video called 4 Reasons Women Should Never Breastfeed in Public. Really pointing out how stupid it is to criticize women for feeding their children and not wanting to do it while sitting on a toilet. You go eat your steak on a toilet, Bob, okay? Right. But don't tell that mom.
Yeah. Do you want to feed your little son in the bathroom? No, you don't.
Eat your burger sitting on a toilet. Don't tell a mom what to do. Exactly. Or under a hot blanket. Anyway, so I made this video. It kind of went viral.
Yes.
Ashton Kutcher shared it, which was so random, but
cool.
I think his baby was probably, or one of his kids was at that stage where
I think so
breastfeeding.
Too.
Anyway, and then we became fast friends.
Yes.
And one of the things that I really loved about you, other than the fact that you've given me great, medical advice for my kids,
right,
is that you are very honest as a mom about your own crap.
Yes.
And your own mistakes and feeling clueless. And I think that's really encouraging. And so I think sometimes, parents hear from me all the time. I've sort of made it my mission in life, right? To encourage parents they hear it all the time from me, but to hear it from a professional is different. And so I want to my goal with this episode is to sort of remove the guilt parents feel, right? And so much of the guilt does come from, am I feeding my kid everything they need to eat? And am I doing it? Am I doing everything to make sure that my kid is completely healthy and right?
Right.
Our guilt is so heavy.
It's so much.
But it also is a sign that, man, we really freaking love our children.
Right.
And
it's unconditional.
Yes. And we just want to do right by them.
Right.
So let's just start with that. Can you just tell me about all the perfect parents you met who do everything perfectly. How many perfect parents who have never made a mistake have you met through your practice?
Oh, I want to say 0.00000,
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
and maybe like a negative,
Yeah.
just because that is never the case, ever, ever, ever. And the minute that you can let go of that, there's such personal freedom that comes where you're like, I'm just not going to do it right every
Yeah.
second of the day. And that's okay. That makes
Yeah.
you human.
This is a pediatrician telling you people,
Yes.
you will make mistakes.
Yes.
And that doesn't make you a bad parent.
In addition to that, maybe making mistakes helps you grow and change and pivot, and good luck, bad luck. Sometimes with bad things that you do or mistakes that you made, you have learned from it and
Yeah.
you're a better parent for it.
You know what else the attitude I took on, I don't know, many years ago, I wish I'd taken it on from the beginning. When I screw up, so my first thought used to be, oh my gosh, I'm such a bad mom. I can't believe I didn't know that. Okay, now when I screw up, my first thought is, oh my gosh, I just did my kids a favor because I just showed them that they don't have to be perfect.
Yes.
And they will never feel pressure to be perfect when they're parents or now because
now.
they're going to go, I have an example of a really imperfect mom who screws up all the time.
Yes.
That's my first thought.
Yes.
And then my second thought is I'm going to go apologize and get this right with my kid.
Huge.
I owe them an apology.
Huge.
So maybe we need to look at our imperfections as we're doing our kids a favor because
Yes.
we're giving them permission to not feel pressure to be perfect. What a hell, talk about health, Miss Doctor.
That
like
is so
how
healthy.
healthy is it to raise kids that don't feel pressure to be perfect?
100%. It's a huge life lesson. It's like probably one of the most important sort of foundational sort of teachings that you can give your child is that you're going to screw it up sometimes.
Yeah.
And that you're going to learn. And the idea that my own therapist taught me about character development and the fact that don't you want your kids to have like, I don't know, just all different facets, just like a diamond, right? Like that they have all these different parts of their personality and they have different likes and dislikes. Well, that comes from making mistakes, right? Saying like, hey, I really thought I was going to be an artist. Guess what? I don't really want to do that. Hey, I really thought I wanted to marry someone that looked like this or acted like this. Don't really want that. Hey, I really thought that I wanted to be popular and that would define me as a person. And I don't really like that crowd. So you have to make mistakes. You have to go through the bad. You have to experience discomfort to know when you're finding ease and when you're really like living your true purpose and when you're living your best life.
Yes.
And it only comes from the bad and the ugly.
Now, tell me this, because I think a lot of parents, and I have definitely felt this, not really so much with you, because I feel like we became friends really fast.
Yes.
But like, you know, over the years, because of my son's mental health struggles, I saw a lot of psychiatrists with him and, you know, therapists. I think every parent has probably at some point experienced going to an appointment and going, is this doctor judging me? Are they judging my parenting? Are they judging my kid?
Yes.
What are they asking what I'm feeding them because they know that last night we ate frozen chicken nuggets?
Right.
I mean, hopefully they weren't frozen at the time you fed them. But even if so, we're not judging.
No judgment.
We're not
No
judging.
judgment.
We're not judging. Hopefully the teeth didn't break on those frozen nuggets.
Exactly.
So I want to know, like, I think every parent, well, let me just ask, like, are you judging us? Like, when we walk into your office, not just me specifically,
Right.
because we're friends, you
Yeah.
know all enough love.
Yeah,
there are
totally.
many.
I just pretend with the kids that I don't know, but I
Yeah.
do.
But like, what would you tell a parent who's like, I don't really want to be honest when the pediatrician asks, you know, what I did with my kid or whether they, you know, whatever. Like you ask a million questions every appointment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to tell them the truth because they're going to judge me. Tell me about that.
Okay, this is like one of my favorite topics because I can tell when parents are lying. I've been doing this so long that it almost is comical to me when I'm like, hey, okay, so, you know, like, what are your favorite foods? And when the kid looks at me and it's like, I love broccoli. I'm like, you're fine.
Your mom
love
made
broccoli.
you say that in the car. Your mom was like, I will give you 10 lollipops
Totally.
and 2
I will give
donuts
you
if you say
frozen
broccoli.
chicken nuggets if you say broccoli. The other thing is I can tell when they're lying when they're like, things are great. Everything's great. We're doing great. Everything's so great. We're doing great. And
And
that's
it's a mom who's like got yogurt in her hair.
totally. Or on the flip, the parent that's like the kid that's got the perfect comb over and has the bow and has the perfect outfit on, and she's 2, and I'm thinking, there's no way that you just threw that on. Okay, I know what toddlers act like it too. They don't just want to wear the pretty
You did
dress
this
and the
for
tights.
me
100%.
to present perfectly to the pediatrician.
Exactly. So I think no, I'm not judging you. I think I'm more judgmental when you lie. I think I'm more judgmental.
Oh, there you go. Be honest, people.
Yeah, I think I'm more judgmental when I can sense that there's something going on, or that you're struggling, or that your kid's struggling and you're beating around the bush. To me, that's more uncomfortable. Now, God bless my personality and my mother, may she rest in peace. I can't stand that. And I am an honest seeker and a truth seeker. And I am the kind of doctor that's just like, okay, slow down. I'm sensing something. What's happening right now? And I just need to know. And I'll ask a few times, and I would say 80% of the time, 90% of the time, they'll tell me. And then there's 10% where they don't want to. And I'm like, okay, they're not ready. I'm here. And I just tell them, okay, that's fine. I'm sensing something, but I could be misreading it, but I'm always here if you need me. But I think that no, your doctor's not judging you. Your doctor wants honesty and truth. And I tell all my patients this, I can only help you if I know the truth. Yeah. If you're giving me a false example or a false sort of narrative of what's happening in your house, I can't help you. And then when, it really hits the fan, when let's say your toddler's having, developmental delay, or when you're concerned about autism and you've told me for 3 straight years that you meet every single milestone, well, that doesn't really help me. Versus the mom that comes in at every point, it's like, you know what? I don't feel like his speech is that great. You know what? I don't feel like he makes that great eye contact. You know what? He is a little awkward at Gymboree or whatever it may be. Then at the 3-year visit, when they're like, you know what? He hasn't really picked up on words. I can say, boom, let's get a developmental eval. Let's get you into OT and PT. Let's do all these things because you've told me the truth all along. Yeah. So the best thing that you can do for your doctor, and I think every doctor out there would agree, is be honest, be open. We're not going to judge you. We just want the truth. We're just there to help.
And by the way, because you're a mom too.
Yes.
Like, you've had you've shared with me awful days. You've been clueless. You've made mistakes. Yes. So it's not like, I don't think any doctor, let's stick with pediatricians, is expecting a perfect parent with a perfect child.
No.
In fact, like, I know that you've shared with me that you actually love and respect the person even more when they come in and go, man, I'm clueless. I don't know what to do. I need help. I'm screwing up. Like, I feel the same way when I hear that, and I'm obviously not a doctor, but when I hear a mom talk that way, that never makes me think less of her.
No.
It just makes me respect her even more. Like, I love that you're being vulnerable. I love that you're being honest. I love that you're not pretending.
Yep. Those are my favorite patients. In fact, like, they always say in medicine that, like, the patient picks you, and that it's a calling, right? And, like, you just sit back and do what you're going to do, and the patients are going to come to you. But I will say, as a doctor, like, there is a certain type of person that I open up to and gravitate to too. And, over the course of this last 20 years, I do have a kind of very sort of specific type of group of people that come to me with all varying personalities and all these things. But I think the bottom line is that openness, that vulnerability, that ability to say, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I need your help. And I like that. And by the way, there are some parents that really do know what they're doing, and they have the village and they're doing it all right at that moment. But guess what? That house of cards is going to fall at some point.
Yeah.
And I just sit back, and there are times where it's like, I'll go 5 years in a row and I'm like, oh yeah, Lucy's doing perfect. Great. And then she hits 12 and then mom comes in. It's like, Lucy has attitude. Yep. Lucy won't listen. Yep. Lucy doesn't obey me. Yep. Well, guess what? That's normal. And I want you to tell me that so I can kind of guide you. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. And sometimes those parents with those quote unquote perfect children, man, I just think you just wait. I will not say who in my life, but somebody that I know would, when this person was, I'm trying to be careful, when this person was around my children, and part of that time was when my oldest son was struggling, they would say things to me. And at that point, their child was in college. Mm-hmm. They would say to me things like, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to deal with this. My daughter never acted that way. My daughter, or my little one would throw a tantrum. I mean, my daughter never, this person had one daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter never. Well, guess what? That daughter was great. And now that daughter is in her, I think, late 20s and does not speak to her
I was just
parents. I'm trying to be really careful here.
Yeah.
Does not speak to her parents. And there's just been a lot of issues. And,
Yeah.
so, and by the way, do I really think that until late 20s, this child was perfect? Because
No.
that's really how this person painted there.
Yes.
So I think that sort of thing definitely comes from your own insecurities, right? Like
100%.
Like it comes from our own insecurities where we want to be, again, we love our children so much. We want to do right by them. And we want people to see us as good moms.
Yes.
And especially, I think you're going to feel that even more when you're going into a doctor's office.
Yes, for sure.
And I think if we can just shed that, because again, honesty is going to take you further.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you have time right now with a doctor.
Yes.
Like, tell them the things you're struggling with. Tell them the places where you feel like you're failing. Tell them the tantrums your kid is throwing and the whatever, because it might just be a tantrum. It might be a bigger thing. Like,
Right.
take advantage, but also for our own mental health,
Mm-hmm.
being okay with not having all the answers
Mm-hmm.
and being confident in that. Like going, I am a good mom who doesn't have all the answers. I
Right.
am a good mom who makes mistakes. I am a good mom who had a really bad day and yelled at my child today.
Mm-hmm.
I am a good mom who's made some terrible decisions in parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two can coexist.
They can.
And
And they should.
absolutely, because that's the only actual truth there is. That is
100%.
everything else is a lie.
Yep,
It's a lie.
it is. I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
add a little like nugget is that some of my favorite visits are when parents are totally think they're screwing it up and their baby's perfect. And just in that moment,
Like their
right?
own parental anxiety.
Yeah, and it's just like they are so willing to be vulnerable and thinking they're screwing it all up. And they're like, oh my God, we don't know anything. And then I look at this like perfect cherub 10-pound baby who's like meeting all his milestones and looking at me and cooing and gooing and like making perfect eye contact. And I love to be able to turn to that parent and say, actually, your baby is perfect today. I love how you're doing it. You may feel like you're screwing it up, but you're doing great. And so it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But just them being open and honest and saying, hey, this is really hard and I'm not sleeping and I don't know how much to feed and I'm just doing the best I can. That's okay.
And you know what? What you actually just said about milestones brings up another thing. When a child is not meeting the milestones, a lot of times parents blame themselves, right?
Yes.
And most of the time, like obviously, unfortunately, there are parents out there that are starving their children, they're abusing their children.
Ugh.
That's not what we're talking about right now. I
No.
don't think those people would even take the time to listen to this podcast.
Right.
Or
even go to a doctor.
Yes, exactly. I am speaking with the assumption, even though we're not supposed to assume, that everybody listening has the best of intentions and loves their kids.
Yes.
So even when those milestones aren't met,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, I mean, almost every time, especially with parents with good intentions who are trying their best, it is not the parent's fault. And the parent blames themselves.
Right.
And like, what would you tell those parents who are like, my kid is not walking yet, or my kid,
Right.
speech, whatever it is. Like there's so
Yes.
I'll from a personal experience, my oldest spoke very, very late. And to the point where we had, like, the pediatrician said, I'm going to have you see a speech therapist.
Yeah.
And he was my first. I was in my mid-20s. I was a young mom. And I blamed myself. I was like, what did I do wrong? Did I not talk to him enough? Did I not read him enough books? Did I? And that is such an awful feeling.
Right.
By the way, he went from not talking to like full sentences. Mom, can I please have a turkey sandwich? And I don't like too much turkey, maybe just a little turkey and then some cheese. And I was like, what just happened? Right.
Language
and,
burst.
Yes. And he was fine. But point being, I look back and I'm like, oh, I want to hug that Christina and be like, Christina, it's not your fault.
Yes.
Stop blaming yourself. Stop staying up all night and going over everything you should have done and didn't do and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So what would you tell that parent who shows up to your office and has to hear from you, all right, we have a problem?
I would say if you think that you are that powerful that you can control genetics, you are mistaken. You are not a superhero. And as much as you think that you should be, you're not. And your genes are your genes. And just because your child is not meeting their milestones at this visit doesn't mean that we are not going to be able to help. It doesn't mean that we can't change it. The brain is a muscle and development is on a spectrum for a reason. And that's why I'm here. And let me take the reins and let me tell you who to see. And There are many, many people in the world that need therapy at a young age, and it doesn't mean that you're not a great mother. It just means that your child needs extra support. And frankly, just the fact that you're coming to me and you're being vulnerable and honest is what the best thing that you can do for your child.
Yeah.
The best thing.
And this is why, and we talk about this all the time. You mentioned just a second ago that you have a therapist, which I'm so glad. I think people need to hear that.
Yes.
Like, even a pediatrician. And a lot of the stuff you talk about I shouldn't say for you, but I know that you have discussed parenting because
absolutely,
like point being, we all need help and we all need support.
Yes.
And I think one of the things we don't think, like all those books, and I don't even remember because I read them so long ago, but all those books that prepare you when you're pregnant, of like, you need to know this, you know this. I wish they spent a lot more time. Maybe new editions do spend a little time. The ones I read didn't spend any time talking about the mother's mental health and how we actually treat ourselves.
Right.
And how cruel we are to ourselves.
Right.
And how we blame ourselves for every time, something happens. Even something completely out of our control where a child, God forbid, like these children who are diagnosed with cancer, something just really heartbreaking.
Yes.
For a parent to have to go through something that heavy. And then on top of that, they're blaming themselves.
I know.
Like, that's so, like, it just makes me want to cry for the parent, right?
Ugh.
Like, the load is already so heavy.
Right.
Man, this is the time to be so freaking good to yourself, right? So I wish those parenting books talked more about like, hey, take care of you. Like, take really good care of the most important person in your child's life. That's you.
Right. Yes, put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure that you're the healthiest version of yourself. Make sure that you are being kind to yourself because your child deserves that. And they need that. And you're not going to be perfect, just like your child's not going to be perfect. But the kinder that you can speak to yourself and the more that you can look within and face those demons and go easy on yourself, and the more of a village that you can have, and the more that you can ask for help, and the more vulnerable you are, it makes you a fuller, more, sort of well-rounded human.
Yeah.
And isn't that what you want for your child?
Yeah.
And, I think we get caught up a lot in labels. And I think that, a lot of times with social media, it's, it has its negative impact that we can kind of label people. And, whether it's ADHD or autism spectrum disorder or, developmental delay or, even speech delay, we get stuck in these labels. And I don't think that's fair. And so a lot of parents are like, well, I don't want to label my child as having that. And I don't want to, go see a specialist because, then my child will be labeled. And it's like, well, first of all, everything's on a spectrum. Just because you have some mild developmental delay at a young age, that doesn't mean that you're going to have mild or even any developmental delay later in life. The brain is a muscle. It can be trained, and you can grow out of things. Just like I didn't eat tomatoes when I was younger, and now I love them. Like, we grow, we evolve, we change. And I think patients are so worried sometimes about what society's going to think or what school's going to think or what their village is going to think.
Yeah, there's too much about what people think.
Yeah.
It's destroying our mental health completely.
Really
and
is.
Destroying the joy in parenting.
It really is, versus like having a village of not just the people that love you, but also it's very, very common to have a occupational therapist involved or a developmentalist involved or a physical therapist involved. I know for my kids, they both needed speech therapy and one of my kids needed developmental therapy. Thank God I had that. Thank God that I had someone to say, and it helped me as a parent. And that's what these therapists do, is they come in and tell you, hey, by the way, when you're playing pretend with your kid, don't just sit there and have them bring you stuff. Place an order and say, hey, can you make me a grilled cheese? And then when they bring that grilled cheese to you, say, thank you so much, kind sir. I love the restaurant you're in. What's the name of your restaurant? Those things really shaped and helped me because I didn't know. Every time my daughter made me a sandwich, from the little fake kitchen, I was like, thank you so much. I didn't know to do all those things. No one teaches you that. And the second I started doing that, she started saying, oh, the name of my place is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Oh, I love Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Tell me more about the restaurant. It's a way to learn and grow. And that's what these therapists are there for. Yeah. That's what a pediatrician is there for. If we can be vulnerable and get over our own ego, there's an abundancy of wealth and knowledge from people who are trained in that.
Yeah.
And they want to help you.
Yeah.
So
I always think how parenting is full of growing pains. We think of childhood as full of growing pains. Yes. Parenting is full of growing pains. Like,
100%.
Let's grow, let's learn, let's ask for help. Okay. I just thought of something that I didn't plan on doing, but I think this would be a fun little game to do.
Okay. I love this.
I'm going to have to think quick on my feet here. Because parents feel guilty.
Yes.
About a million things. let's play a game. I'm going to name it, Does This Ruin a Child?
Okay. I love this.
I'm going to think about just things that I've heard parents say they feel guilty about. Okay. A parent being a stay-at-home parent, which I hate the word stay-at-home parent because there's no staying. There's like
trigger.
Yeah. A parent not working outside the home. I'll call it that. A stay-at-home parent sounds so passive and it's like exhausting, right?
Yes.
Or having a full-time career. Does one or the other ruin a child?
No.
Okay. Does eating out at fast food restaurants occasionally ruin a child?
No.
Does taking a weekend away with your girlfriends, away from your baby, your little baby who needs you 24/7 apparently, and until they're 50 or whatever age, is going away with your girlfriends and leaving your child for a few days, not alone,
Yeah, exactly.
Will that ruin a child?
No.
In fact,
it might help, actually.
It will help them, I think. Yeah.
You'll come back refreshed.
Will, not buying them the most expensive thing that all their friends have, will it ruin a child?
No.
If your child gets one present for Christmas because that's all you can afford, but their cousins get 15, will it ruin your child?
Absolutely not. They'll learn to appreciate.
Yes.
They'll learn to appreciate.
The idea that sometimes advice changes, even probably pediatrician advice changes.
Yes.
And so when my older kids were younger, I might have done things, and then now we're finding, well, you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
Okay, but we can't feel guilty about that.
I know that, but I'm just saying.
Yes,
did I ruin my child?
Did you?
No.
Yes.
No. I mean, listen, advice changes, guidelines grow. We do research, and like that's the beauty of medicine is medicine evolves as well. And so as we know more, we do more. And that's the whole point, right? Shouldn't we all be growing and evolving? So yes, like for example, there were cereal guidelines when the kids were younger. There's food allergy introduction guidelines that have changed. And so no, just because you did one food every 3 days and now we don't do that, did you ruin your child? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, there's a lot of what Kat is talking about of like, well, I was taught by either a doctor or books that, we talked about this the other day together, like the cry it out method. And now they're like, no, that's going to cause anxiety, kids. You don't let a baby cry it out. Like, and then we blame ourselves. Like you have told me you feel guilty. How can you feel guilty about something you didn't know? Like, do you know what I mean?
I can tell you your baby having anxiety or your child having anxiety had nothing to do with crying it out. And just, not nothing, but it's not as significant. It's P less than 0.01, which is statistically insignificant.
I feel like it's kind of like expecting, it's like, do I feel guilty that when I was 2 years old, I didn't know how to perfectly tie my shoe?
Right.
No, I didn't know. Like, let's stop feeling guilty for things we didn't know. And not just that we didn't know. You actually were following advice that you were given. You were doing the right thing at the time.
Right.
I think the key here is for us to stay open. What bothers me is when things do change, like let's say science shows us something new, or, we find out from mental health professionals that, hey, this is actually a better way to handle this.
Right.
I think the only problem is when people are like, nope, my way was the right way, because that obviously comes from ego insecurity, right?
Yes.
And I am not even going to accept that anything has changed and no one's going to tell me I did it wrong.
Right.
That's a whole nother story.
Totally.
But just the fact that you're like, the fact that you have the thought of like, I wish I had done it this way. How would you have known? Nobody told you.
Nobody told you.
Man,
it's not your fault.
We're so good at feeling guilty.
We're so good at being hard on ourselves.
Oh,
and
we're
then
so good at it.
On the flip, like we never praise ourselves. No. We never stop and actually give praise for when it's deserved.
Yes.
And that is a huge part of what I do.
Do you see my mug? People who are listening can't see. It's a quote I put in my first book because it's something that I would tell myself because I used to be so hard. More credit than criticism, more grace than judgment. Literally live by that. By the way, it'll help you sleep better at night because that's when it comes out. Yeah. We lay down in bed and then what do? We literally will replay in our head everything we did wrong as a parent that day or for the past 10, 20 years.
Right.
And we will go, okay, I should have spent more time with my kid. And oh my gosh, I didn't really, do this. And oh my gosh, I, fed them this thing, even though I planned on making a healthy meal, but then we didn't have time. And then, I was late for this. And like, what if when we go to bed instead, we went, I am only allowed right now, if my head is on my pillow, the only thing I'm allowed to do is name all the things I did right today.
Oh. I
Like,
literally just got a flutter in my heart.
How healthy would that be?
Oh
I
my
am
gosh.
only allowed to name things I did right. And you know what? A lot of parents will do, well, I did nothing right today. That's bullcrap. You're a liar.
Yep.
So, okay, I got out of bed, which is a really big deal because
Yes.
I really wanted to stay in bed all day.
Yep.
And I made sure that my kids were fed.
Yep.
And they were loved.
Yep.
And I showed up for them. And, you know, like, even if it's something that seems so small, like I listened to my kid tell me that story that they've already told me 1,000 times. And I pretended that I was hearing it for the first time and really seemed interested. If that's the only thing, name that. But like, how different would it be if we said, fine, I'll stress about it. I always think about like putting it on a shelf.
Yes.
Okay, I'll put these things that I'm stressed about or worried about on a shelf. And right now I'm only allowed to name all the things I did right.
Right.
And then tell me how you're sleeping, because I guarantee you'll sleep better.
100%. And by the way, second to that, I bet you'll parent a little better the next day. I bet that you'll have a little more confidence as a parent the next day.
100%.
I bet you won't be in your head the next day and you can just be your truthful, normal, authentic self, which, by the way, that's kind of what your kids need.
Yeah.
They don't need the, fake version. They don't need the what society tells me version. They don't need the, but I need to be like my mother version. They need you to be you.
Yeah.
Whoever you are. And that's what teaches them that they get to be them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think a lot of issues that we see just in today's culture is everyone trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
And that authenticity is lost.
Yeah.
And you add social media and all the things in play. And
Too much comparing. And you're right. Social media has made it so much worse because there's so many quote unquote perfect families with their perfect little activities and perfect little field trips and perfect this and perfect that and perfect, meals. And guys, it's not real. It's not real.
It's not real.
Please. And even if there is a family out there who they're aliens and they're living this perfect life, who the cares?
Right.
Like, please, we have to stop comparing. It's just so unhealthy. Here's the thing I would say. I would say probably any parent listening has done the whole beating themselves up, thinking about all the things they did wrong. Okay, you've tested it out. You've done it for years. Has it made you a better parent, a better person? If it actually has made you happy and more fulfilled, keep doing it.
Yeah, good.
But
good,
how about
good
we go, I tried that for years, being hard on myself, feeling guilty all the time, criticizing. I've tried it. It didn't work. I'm going to try something different. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit.
Shake it up.
Just shake it up. And I'm going to now try for, I don't know, a month straight, only being kind to myself and see if that actually helps.
Yeah, just take a 30-day trial of gratitude and kindness to yourself and see how that translates to not only how you parent, but all the other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
What kind of, wife, partner you are, what kind of friend you are, what kind of daughter you are, what kind of sister you are, all of those things, and see how it translates to all the aspects of your life. Because I guarantee you, the more that you can see that you're living your authentic self and just being true, the better that you're going to feel. Your emotional state's going to be better. Your anxiety is going to be less. You're going to sleep better. And you're not going to choose to see every red light at a traffic stop as someone trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
And every negative thing that happens to you as you being punished.
Yeah.
It's going to be, okay, you know what? This traffic light is teaching me that I need to slow down. And I'm going to. And you know what? This person that has been removed from my life, maybe that's what the universe wanted for me. And they were actually not a great friend or a toxic person.
Yeah. And I always think like, if you have too many insecurities and we all have insecurities, right?
Yes.
But if you have too much stuff and you're too hard on yourself to the point where like, it just like, you're not motivated to even be kind to yourself.
Right.
Then let your motivation be the fact that you are an example to your child.
Yes.
And they're going to learn how to treat themselves by watching how you treat yourself.
Yeah.
So if you want your child to be gentle with themselves, and if you want your child someday when they're a parent and they're overwhelmed and stressed to take that weekend away with their friends because it is what they need for their mental health, then show them that.
Right.
Be that example so that when they're adults and they start feeling guilty about stuff, they can look back and go, oh, I remember my mom being so nice to herself. Man, she was so forgiving of herself. She was so gentle with herself. That was the example I lived with.
Exactly.
I think if you yourself are not motivation enough, let your child be the motivation. We did get a voicemail question specifically for you from someone. So Kat's going to play that. By the way, if you want to leave a voicemail question for basically on any topic, it doesn't just have to be for a pediatrician. You can call 855-912-4175 at any time. And we might choose to play yours during the podcast.
Yay.
Go ahead, Kat.
Hello, this is Holly, and my question is, my son is almost 11. He has autism and ADHD. I'm having a hard time getting him to be respectful and obey. I need help desperately. If you have any advice, please share it with me. Thank you.
She needs a nap. And I don't mean that in a mean way. Like,
Yeah.
I need a nap too.
I know.
But like,
that's a lot.
I know, she's got a lot going on. So first of all, sending you all our love.
All I love.
But go ahead, give us your doctor's perspective on this.
So I think that's a little multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
And, having any child on the spectrum changes the dynamic, right? And it can change the way that you parent because it's not black and white. And that's why they call it a spectrum. And then having a child with ADHD or ADD, that can also just change the way that you parent. I think, what I heard there is that I, would like help having my child obey me. And I think that that's the first place to start, is that that's not what kids do. And though we want that. And
we were raised that a good parent makes sure that their kids always obey.
Right.
But man, my parents thought I was obeying and I was doing lots of stuff behind their back.
Correct.
But go ahead.
In fact, a lot of the teens that I say that are quote unquote obeying are coming to me telling me otherwise, and I'm putting them on the pill and X, Y, and Z and doing drug testing on them, just so you know.
Yeah.
So I think obey is a strong word. And I think that what I try to do is take that out of the language for parents and say, it's not actually your kid's job to obey you. It's your kid's job to respect you. And it's your kid's job to understand your why, but you need to be leading and you need to be guiding. And they are supposed to sort of lead by example. And you're supposed to have them get to those healthy places and make those good decisions by being a leader.
Yeah.
And
not
authoritarian.
Yeah, not a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the word guide, because from me parenting for 20 some years, I've realized that when I was in that they need to obey me mode, it wasn't productive and there was actually no teaching happening. And that's really our job, is to mentor and teach them, right? To handle life. But when I thought of myself more as a guide, like I'm going to guide you through this.
Right.
And also, big one, I'm a student too. And obviously this woman has to be a student because she's learning to probably deal with stuff that she's never known before, unfamiliar things, right? And learning how to parent this specific child. Think of yourself as like a guide and also a student. Man, I got so much further with my kids. That's when my kids actually started listening and respecting and following boundaries and things.
And I think any type of diagnosis that you have like that, especially, I mean, and my heart goes out to you, like having multiple diagnoses with one child, it's not one size fit all. So, parenting styles for kiddos on the spectrum are very dynamic, and there's very specific guidelines. And even those are not perfect, but leaning in on your pediatrician, leaning in on your developmentalist, and being vulnerable with your doctors and your village around you to say, hey, I'm struggling. And then ADD and ADHD also requires a different version of you, and it can push you to the max. A lot of my ADD and ADHD parents come to me saying, this is very, very hard. Of course, the attention deficit, so you're having to repeat yourself and stay calm in those moments. And then to add in hyperactivity where, they're hyperactive and you're just trying to get them to listen. So I think that the more you can reach out for help, the more patience you can have with yourself, going back to figuring out what you did right instead of wrong, and then just being able to pivot. As a parent, like you pick a path, and if it doesn't work, okay, well then try a different path. And if that doesn't work, try another path. It sends the signal to your child that you're willing to do anything for them, and it sends the message to yourself that you're not stuck. And the more that you can kind of get out of muddy waters as a parent and say, okay, this didn't work, let me try this, the better you're going to do. Parenting is dynamic. Human minds are dynamic. Human evolution is dynamic. We're meant to change and evolve and grow. That's why it's called evolution.
And for every parent, but even more so, I think, for parents like Holly, make sure that you work on, whether it's with a therapist or whoever, that you work on not worrying about other people's opinions, because people will have opinions. Your child might show behaviors in public that society, ignorant society, decided is not acceptable or disrespectful or whatever. And you have to get to a place where it's my kid first and my ego and insecurities and what will so-and-so think don't freaking matter.
No.
They just don't matter.
Right.
I think that's a lot of times I see parents who have kids with various challenges. It's already really hard. It's already exhausting. Now, if on top of that, we're worried about what will people think.
Yes.
I don't even know how you do it. Honestly, I don't know how you do it if you're carrying that baggage.
Yes.
And I would also say, for me, and obviously completely different situations, I'm not trying to compare, but when I was trying to support Luca through his struggles, and a lot of those things were unfamiliar to me and what was happening, support groups made a difference. So
Huge.
Holly, if you maybe ask your pediatrician, call a local hospital, a lot of times hospitals will have resources, and say, hey, is there any support group in the area that for parents who have kids with, who have the same diagnosis as your son? Or also, if there's no one in your area, a lot of times there are now virtual support groups.
Yes.
But man, like how awesome and held will you feel and less alone to just for 1 hour every week sit in a support group where you can hear from other parents.
Right, exactly. And, and also understanding that like your kid, may not have control over their behaviors. And I think that's a huge part of it is that, if your kid is doing something, it's not to you.
Yes.
It may be that
personal.
diagnosis is making that happen, or it may be that, it has nothing to do with anything that you did.
Yeah.
And so the less blame and the less judgment and the more kind and the more curious and the more compassionate, I really feel like when you bring that to the table, it can really help with managing behaviors.
Yeah. Because as hard as it is for you to parent that child, it is even harder to be that child because he is trying to figure it out.
Right.
And it's a cruel world.
Right.
That he's living in.
Right.
And it's a lot. So I think so many times we have to think like, as much as it's hard to be a parent, it's really hard to be a child.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
And then to have two different diagnoses going and, in the prepubertal phase. And
it's so much.
It's so much.
So much. So
and
a lot of compassion and empathy.
Yes.
And
yes.
curiosity.
For yourself and your child.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, I think sometimes in those situations, we forget to find the fun. And not just find the fun, create the fun.
I know.
Because everything starts feeling heavy and like work. So find those moments where you can just enjoy your child.
Yes.
No lecturing, no trying to fix things, no, just how can I just enjoy my child?
Yes. In their authentic version of themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think you're right. Sometimes it's like, well, I have to do this. I have to go to the park, or I have to be at a restaurant, or I have to go to the movies because that's what everyone else is doing. Well, maybe your child doesn't thrive in those situations. And guess what? As a parent, you can say, my child doesn't like that. So I'm not going to do that. They like to stay home. Or guess what? They like mini golf or whatever it may be. You do what works best for your child and you.
Yeah. All right. We love you all. I always want to talk to you for hours and hours.
I know,
but
me
we'll
too.
do that over the phone.
Yes.
Next time I need to vent to you about something.
We'll have our dinner date.
Yes. I love you all. For more support, you can check out the app, Hope and Humor Daily. There's a chat in there where you can, wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, I don't want to wake up on Friends, but I want to ask someone about this thing that's keeping me up all night.
Yes.
You can ask in the app and get instant support. And I guess let's leave with some parting, encouraging words. Give that parent who's listening and overwhelmed a 30-second pep talk.
Be open, be honest, be vulnerable, lean in on the people in your community and your doctors and tell the truth. Just put everything out there because we're way more likely to be able to help you if you do that. Be kind to yourself, get rest. There is support out there and there are people that love you and support you and you're doing a really good job. You're doing a really good job.
Yeah, you don't even know. You're actually doing a better job than you realize.
You are.
So I just want to tell you that.
You're actually killing it.
Like you're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're nailing it.
Yeah, you are.
And you're hot.
So hot.
Have you looked in the mirror today?
You're so hot.
Flames
coming off.
Yeah,
like,
and your kids are so freaking fortunate to have you. Are you kidding me?
They're
I wish you could be my mom.
Duh. Call me.
Love you all. Bye.